Well, folks, we're back with part 2. And Dwayne, I read the paper this morning before I came, and I said, well, I got to cut this out and take this in. I got to move this to the top of the pile.
I did the same thing. I took some notes on it.
Good.
I catch all Billy Hill if I cut out today's paper.
You're going to catch hell anyway.
Well, yeah, I know.
So it's just, The life expectancy of American women is now 5.8 years longer than that of men.
Yep, that's right.
Now, they say COVID is one of the, they're saying it's driven by the COVID pandemic and the opioid overdose epidemic. U.S. men dying nearly 6 years before women is now the largest life expectancy gap between the sexes since 1996.
See, it just goes to show you the cougars, what they called cougars, were right.
Yeah.
You ladies, if you're in the dating business or you're looking for a man or a partner, you should be looking, just like Bill said, somebody that's about 5 years younger than you are.
Yeah.
Instead of older. When we were growing up, the man was always usually a few years older than the woman. It should have been the other way around because the men die quicker.
That's right. Yeah.
So you want somebody 8, 10 years, even 10 years younger than you are.
When I was a kid, young, really young, 65 was ancient.
Oh, my God.
And men were dying.
Yeah.
I remember very well one of my uncles. He only, and the quote I overheard the adults say, he only lasted 6 months after he retired.
Mm-hmm.
But if he had lasted 2 years, well, he would have been successful.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But now, they're saying that during the pandemic, men were more likely to die of the virus. That was likely due to a number of reasons, including differences in health behaviors, as well as social factors, such as the risk of exposure at work, reluctance to seek medical care.
That's a good point.
Incarceration, and housing instability. This is not a trend that's going to be easy to reverse.
No, it's not. I think men are going to continue to.
Yeah.
They have for historically anyway.
Yeah.
You go back to the caveman. It was the guy out there with a spear trying to bring down the saber-toothed tiger. He's the one that got killed.
Sure. Yeah.
So their death rate was higher.
Yep. Absolutely. How about the guys too that? And by the way, I'm sure you can relate to this too, but how about the guys that work 2 jobs? Because the wives stayed home with the children, forming the perfect family unit.
Yep.
But the old man had to work 2 jobs to pay for it. But they did it willingly.
Yep.
But that also has to shorten
absolutely. I don't care how ambitious you are and how great you think you can handle things. You start burning that, they call it burn the candle on both ends, it's going to wear you out.
My dad worked 2 jobs. He was a plumber, but yet he always had side plumbing jobs or carpentry jobs or whatever. But he died of cancer at the age of 56. So you look back, heavy smoker, heavy drinker, and worked at Multi-Bestus down in Walpole during the World War II.
Yeah, and around hazardous materials on top of it.
Yeah, handling asbestos. So, gee whiz, I'm surprised Dad lasted to 56.
That's right.
Yeah. But, that's, but back in those days, everybody smoked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. You don't have to go back that far. You can go
You're working 2 jobs. You're dangerous. And then a few pops on top of everything else, and Jeepers creepers, why don't you just throw yourself off a cliff, you know?
I know.
But, so, Dwayne, now we're finally down into the heap here where I was going to start.
Okay.
So I defined 3 things that we should talk about.
Okay, go ahead.
Israeli war, Ukraine war, and Lewiston, Maine.
Okay, that's 3 of them, the big ones, yeah.
Where would you like to start, my friend?
Well, let's start with Israel, Gaza. I was surprised and kind of shocked at how things are turning out there. You get an organization like Hamas commits a horrible, horrible act, unprovoked. Well, they don't see it that way,
No.
but I'm saying that we see it that way.
I mean, everybody cuts the heads off babies.
Oh yeah, but I mean, their actions were atrocious, and the world was with Israel at that point, with the exception of Iran and the crazies. And for some reason and somehow, circumstances, the victim has now become the bad guy, and the bad guy has become the victim. Actually, it's kind of a victory for Hamas in the sense that they've turned the world opinion against Israel. I don't think they ever thought it was going to happen that way, but I think Israel kind of put it in their lap.
I think it was a lap that they welcomed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah.
I think that we underestimated how many anti-Semites, Jew haters there are.
Oh, no question about that.
They all come out of the closet.
Yeah, but the worldwide opinion had flipped. Now, fortunately, so far, our media is still trying to balance, or pretty good with it. But you get some of the foreign stations in there, boy, it's completely the other way around. Now, I know Israel and the Israelis are a no-nonsense, militarily oriented country. Everybody's in the service, with the exception of the ultra-Orthodox. They don't, which is a sore spot to start with. But you don't mess with those people. It's like poking the bear.
Yeah.
You don't walk up with a stick and poke that bear to see what he's going to do, because he's going to bite you. And Israel is known to do that. Historically, they've done that.
Yeah.
Whether it be Egypt or Yemen or whoever it was, you hit me once, I'm going to hit you 5 times. And Hamas knew they had it coming. But the problem, again, is Hamas uses human shields, for lack of a better word. They know enough.
Exactly, that's a proper word.
Yep. They know to stick their armaments, everything else, behind somebody, behind innocent people. So it's a real conundrum what Israel could have done. They couldn't do a lot. And I don't know where this thing's going to end.
Nor do I. Talk to me about the tunnels.
Right,
How do we flush the bad guys out without killing the good ones?
That's the point. That's the big thing is, if there wasn't a hostage situation, and they are, I'm not saying this to be cold, but they are an asset to Hamas.
Oh, they are.
And they were taken for that reason.
Absolutely.
But I think what Egypt did years ago with the tunnels, they flooded them.
Yeah.
They just brought in tanks and tanks of seawater and flooded them. You're in there, you're dead. But now with the hostages, that's another story. Again, that's another asset or another facet that Israel has to deal with.
And that if the Israelis go in those tunnels and just start shooting, they're going to lose a lot of support.
Yeah.
But that support is paper thin. We think of, I don't think we realize the amount of anti-Semitism that exists in Europe.
Oh, yeah, of course I do.
And I used to talk over there to the Germans and everything, and they talk about things like, we persecuted the Jews, but who hates the Jews more than us? The French.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you've got Croatians who joined the German army.
Yeah.
And were willing participants in all of that sort of thing. And you've got all of that. There is a lot of anti-Semitism in Europe. And that's why I say the support for Israel is paper thin.
Yeah.
I think that whole thing could tip over and really explode against Israel.
Oh, I do too. That's a whole bunch. I didn't know where it's going to go. But, as far as the tunnels go, we had experience dealing with tunnels in Vietnam, in Tay Ninh area, and I've seen some of those tunnels. After the fact, I would not have ever volunteered to go to become a tunnel rat. These guys, you want to see a guy that's got a lot of chutzpah, to use a Jewish term, or balls, as we call them. That's these guys. I mean, they went down in these things with rats and poisonous snakes were the least of the problems. But we...
what did they do? Just shoot first?
No.
No?
No, they went down and with flashlights and... but at first, they were putting CS... gas, I don't know what the proper term is. CS was not, what do they call it today? One of the things that the riots use, or it's very caustic.
Yeah.
But technically, that was a chemical warfare.
Yeah.
So they made them stop. They did to a certain extent. So. This is how ridiculous it is. So they substituted that for napalm. Well, we burn them up then, but that's okay, but you can't gas them out.
Yeah, you can gas them out, but you can
burn
toast them. Yeah.
You toast them right there. But today, there is no reason at all, except, again, the hostages, that these tunnels could not be filled up with some type of a CS-type gas.
Sure.
That you can't. I don't know if you've ever been exposed to it. It is horrible.
Basic training they gave us.
Okay, the little bit in that house, yeah. It's really nasty. You can't breathe. You can't talk. You think you're going to die right there. That could be done.
Yep.
And I don't think anybody was going to say they might die, and if they do die in the tunnels, they die in the tunnels. But again, you got the hostage situation. And not only is it the human aspect of it, which is, to us, is very, very important, but strategically, it's the conception. What does it look like? What's going to be the fallout from this?
What's the world going to think?
Exactly. Yep.
So, the Israeli soldiers should die. Well, rather than protect themselves and perform aggressively.
There are a lot of people that think that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them.
No, I'm not either. But
I mean, war is a dirty business. One of the things that we talk about in this country is dropping the 2 atomic bombs on Japan.
Mm-hmm.
We killed more people in Japan with incendiary bombs.
Oh, absolutely.
Than we did with the 2 atomic bombs.
When they firebomb Tokyo, they far exceeded the death rate of both atomic bombs.
Yeah. I mean, because, and one of the real easy reasons for that is that they live in paper shacks practically.
Everything burned up.
Yep.
But again, it's perception.
Yeah. I don't know how this is going to work out.
I don't either. I don't know if the destruction is as bad in the entire country of Gaza, or Gaza, I don't know, area, section, country, whatever you want to, in Gaza, as the news shows. They only show total devastation. But I don't know if 3 blocks over or 2 blocks over, things are kind of normal. But if you watch the news, you think the whole country has just been leveled.
Inflamed.
Yeah.
Antony Blinken,
Yep.
Secretary of State, laid out 5 no's for the day the shooting stops. No forcible displacement of Palestinians from Gaza. No use of Gaza as a platform for terrorism or other violent attacks.
That makes sense.
No reoccupation of Gaza after the conflict ends. No attempt to blockade or besiege Gaza. No reduction in the territory of Gaza. I think the Israelis said, forget about it. Those are non-starters.
Number 3, particularly. Occupation.
Yeah.
I think Gaza has to be, and when I say occupation, I'm not talking the Nazis type where they went in and took everything. I think there has to be, in a country like that with the Hamas, and Hamas residue is still going to be there, you've got to put in Israeli troops on the streets, patrolling. Their presence have to be there. I mean...
And they're authorized to use lethal force as necessary.
As long as you put armed troops in Gaza after this whole thing over, the rats won't come out.
Right. I agree.
I think they're going to stay underground or someplace else. But as soon as you walk away,
bingo,
they're going to come right back like rats.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the Iranians are pushing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And Russia's behind the Iranians. It is a bad deal over there.
Oh my God! It's a
a
no-win. I mean, it's perfect no-win.
I sat beside, and I think I told this story a couple of times, but I sat beside a young sergeant on an airplane, and we got talking. He was a squad leader, and he had served in Vietnam, and this was, the 60s. And he said to me, so I'm going home to see my dad. I said, well, how long since you've seen him? Well, I forget what it was. But he says, I want to go home and talk to Daddy. He said, they're after me to re-enlist again. Take another 6 years. He said, I need to talk to my dad. Which I admired him for that. So we get talking about Vietnam. And I said, what was the toughest part over there? And he says, well, and eventually we get talking about human shields.
Yeah.
They would put women and children out, and they'd be standing behind them firing at the GIs. I said, what did you tell your squad? He said, God help me. He said, I said, mow them down.
Yeah.
He said, I had to take care of my squad.
Yeah, we in intelligence school in Holabird, we had to take a course. You didn't have, when I say had to, that's a misnomer. It's not like college, you pick something.
Yeah.
They said you're going to do this and this. And one was command and control. And they would present you with the most ridiculous, but they weren't ridiculous. They were actually based on real life situations in the past. When I say ridiculous, I mean there was no good answer. You could not wiggle out of this thing at all. You did this is going to happen. You did this is going to happen. So what do you do? And what they were trying to teach you was to pick the lesser of three evils. If there was three and they were all bad, recognize which is the least bad. There's no good ones. You know, the one of them they used back in Korea where these refugees were coming through and through this pass, and they knew that among those refugees were North Vietnamese or North Korean or Chinese soldiers dressed up as poor refugees, and they were going to get behind them in the lines. Do you bring in artillery and blow up these refugees walking down, or do you let them guys go through? See, it's making decisions. We didn't class to us it's hypothetical. To somebody at some point back in the 50s, it was real. And they're presenting these things to you. May have to make decisions based on what you send in as or find as intelligence, that these decisions are going to be made. And what do you do? It was a tough course. It was,
and really they graded you, and they decided a lot of your future by what you had to say.
Oh, absolutely.
And those kinds of tests.
Did you, at some point, they said, all right, well, everybody wanted to be a special agent that in the field, that operative. That's what you wanted to be. What you didn't want, well, for some of them did. There was a couple of people, it was being an analyst. Safe, easy, but boring as hell.
Yeah, sitting back reading newspapers. And,
taking data and making statistical data, charts and stuff. There was a couple of guys that, they had master's degrees and they didn't want to do anything like that. Right. So that was fine, but you didn't want to get assigned to that because that would be 4 long years of complete boredom. That's like saying you're going to be an accountant for the next 4 years. But sorry, accountants.
Yeah, you're necessary.
Yeah,
but
the whole thing was there's just no right answers that you can look at and say this is going to happen. This thing is unfolding as we're going. Huh?
So I was thinking about this morning. We have no business telling the Israelis how to behave.
No, we do not.
And we need to mind our own business and support them.
Yep.
All right? Let them make the decisions on the ground.
That's right. I'll go a step further than that. We don't have a right sometimes to dictate other countries what we call human rights.
Right.
To them, they see it totally different.
Yep.
Who says that we are absolutely right? We think we're right.
Yeah.
And we probably are. But where do we get off telling country ABC that, you can't do that. That's, that's a basic human right. But it is to us, but not to them.
I think Israel right now is, believe it or not, on the defense. They are not proceeding ahead anywhere near as vigorously as they could, or as we did in World War II or Korea. I mean, they should be going and taking that Gaza and getting it over with.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Just what I said, Bill, that they are hard-nosed up front, but they're not stupid. They see what's happening in the world. The world situation is in a turmoil right now. And they know that they are not an island unto themselves. They still have to fit in the world as we see it today.
And they also see their best ally getting very, very antsy about all of this.
That's a dangerous point.
And their support is beginning to erode away in the United States.
That
is terrible.
Same thing with Ukraine.
Yep. Oh, Ukraine, yeah.
Same damn thing.
Yeah, but there's a difference here, Dwayne.
No, I'm support.
I believe that Biden and his handle is Obama. This is Obama all over. Okay, is willing to be satisfied with a stalemate. That's the best he can come up with.
Oh, that's goes without saying.
Yeah. But hundreds of guys die all the time over there, and civilians die all the time over there. But there's not the pushing and the pushing back and the pushing and the pushing back. They're just standing back and firing at each other. Nobody's making any headway, and winter's coming.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
But they survived the first winter already.
Yeah.
So they know what's coming. But what I find to be scary is the not AOCs. I mean, this is the other side. The Marjorie Taylor Greens, the what's his name? The guy from, I think it's Missouri. It don't matter. There's a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
They want to say, "The hell with Ukraine. We're going to shut them off."
Oh yeah, I mean
come
they're
on.
the isolationists.
They're never going to. The world is not going to trust us again.
No, and Ukraine is different, I think, than Israel.
Oh, absolutely. The situations are different.
The Ukrainians are as corrupt as the Russians.
Yeah.
If not worse.
Oh, yeah. They were known for that.
So here's two bad guys banging heads. One bad guy belongs to us. The other bad guy belongs to Russia, or is Russia. It's one of the wars where, like Iran and Iraq, gee, it's a shame both can't lose.
Yeah.
But you know what? Both are losing. They're losing people. They're losing money. They're losing territory. It is a bloody mess. And the worst part about it is there's no one that can articulate an end game.
That's right. But the problem, though, with Ukraine and Israel also, but more Ukraine, is that not Ukraine itself. It's the end result. If we bail out on Ukraine, then who are we going to bail out? Who are we bailing out next? Who are we going to bail out next? Or bail out on, not bail out.
Yeah. We did ourselves more damage by bailing out of Afghanistan than we will ever understand.
Yep.
And you know what? There are stupid people in this country that do not understand that.
Bill, it goes back to people that got places in high government that never been in the military.
That's right.
That's what that all comes down to.
Yeah. And you should not be able to run for state office or federal office unless you know a veteran.
That's right. And not the fact that you're a veteran, but you know how things work, really, in the real world.
Yes. I can see the end game in Israel. As long as the Israelis stay after it, I can see that ending. Because eventually you're going to start pushing people into Egypt. And the Egyptians are going to say, that's enough. And the rest of the Middle East is going to say, that's enough. And we're going to come finally to the point where we kill all of Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of innocent people too. But them's the breaks in war. The ultimate truism of war, people die. But the Ukraine war, I don't see how this is going to end. I don't see a reasonable solution for this. Short of Winston Churchill being reborn and going in there and straightening everything out, or someone like him.
I am surprised. Well, I see that some of it started, that there's not a, what do they call that? When you get sabotage going on in Russia, for example, what do they call? There's another term for that. I can't remember what that was, but I see now they are starting to blow up. I saw them the other day. They blew up another train.
Domestic terrorists.
Yeah, They're Ukrainian agents.
Oh, okay. Well, Ukrainian agents that have been.
Yeah, they might be Russian too, but they're from the other side. I'm surprised there's not one more stuff going on in Russia, sabotaging and different things like that. And I think you're going to see more of that because if you're not, CIA is not doing their job.
And not only that, but we've hamstrung the Ukrainians because we've given them just enough to hang in there, but not enough to win.
That's right.
Oh, we don't want to offend Putin. He might do something crazy.
The hell with Putin.
Take Putin out.
Yeah. Oh, I have
all right, so let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Supposing, with our intelligence, satellite work, the whole 9 yards, we can pinpoint his location.
Oh, yeah.
Should we take him out?
Yes and no. I know that this is
that's a good answer.
Wait. Yes, somebody should. Should we? No. But somebody under deep cover, meaning us 10 times removed, yes.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to find somebody else with a cruise missile, though, that'll...
Yeah, or I don't think it can be done that way. I think more likely he's going to acquire some incurable disease. He's going to fall down some steps.
Okay.
He's going to have an auto accident.
Train is going to derail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But again, we don't want to be standing there next to it when it happens. Maybe some dissident Russian, that's fine.
Or, yeah. I don't know.
That's why I said yes and no.
Switching gears and going up to Lewiston, Maine.
Yep.
What do you make of all of that?
It's a horror show.
It's a horror show. This guy, now everybody's coming out. Well, he
was there. We warned about this and we warned about that. Yeah.
And he, he was a ticking time bomb. And no one did anything.
Nobody did anything.
There's too many ticking time bombs in this country. And you know what the problem is, Dwayne? It goes back to I'm like a broken record. No place to put them.
Yep.
The mental hospitals, we close them down.
Closing them down.
Yeah. The mental prison / hospital, recovery kind of stuff.
Oh, they're so much better living out in the public. Yeah.
Yeah, in society.
Yeah.
They'll be strengthened by living in society.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and start killing society, though, and raping society.
Yeah, you're right there. Absolutely. The whole thing is, we're afraid today to step on somebody's what we conceive as their rights. Oh my God.
You are honing right in on the truth, my friend. It's our damn legal system, too.
Yep.
If I say, Dwayne Weiss is a ticking time bomb, he's down in his cellar every night.
That's right.
Doing stuff with weaponry and making bombs, and you're not, then my ass gets sued off.
Yep, exactly.
And so there's no margin for error. So what do people do? They say, I don't see anything.
Yeah, I see no evil.
That's right.
Yeah. And one of the big problems, one of the big offenders in this whole thing is the ACLU.
Absolutely.
I have never, now I'm sure there is, so if out there somebody, but I have never seen anything that the ACLU does that actually benefits basic society. They may benefit some radical someplace or group, but Bill and I sitting here or you sitting there, they're not looking for you. They're not helping you.
You're absolutely right. And I've come down on this many times before. it's not the damn guns. It's the people that own the guns that use the guns.
But
that gun is not going to do any harm in somebody's closet.
no,
It is when a human being picks it up and has an idea and goes out and starts shooting people.
we would probably, and I don't. This doesn't quite agree with what your belief, but we would be better off had we never allowed high capacity, high lethal weaponry in the first place.
I agree with you.
There was no reason for it. There is just no reason other than my right again to own that they call AR-15s, but they're really not AR-15s anymore.
They're modified.
Yeah, they're
They get
that
bump
type of
stocks
weaponry.
and- yeah.
You can't hunt with it because if you deer hunt with it, it's going to blow a hole in the side of that thing about that big. You're going to ruin it. And it's just, as a sportsman, you don't do that. You want to hunt like that? Go with grenades.
Yeah.
Why stop there?
BARs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I agree, Dwayne. The problem is that the gun guys do not trust
Yeah.
the anti-gunners. And if we give in on AR-15s, assault weapons, as soon as they win that, they're going to start screaming for pistols.
Yeah. I'm not sure that's totally true, but that's their
Yeah.
their mantra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And there may be, there's like anything, there's always an element of truth in any. I don't care how absurd something is. There's some place in that there's a kernel of truth in it that sprouts these theories. And then there are certain people in society or government that if they became king and they had magic powers, all weaponry would be just poof, disappear.
Yeah.
Even a bow and arrow. I mean, they don't want anything. They don't want a little Bambi to get hurt or a squirrel or anything else.
Outlaw baseball bats.
Oh, absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
if they had to, yeah. But that's another element. You can't.
Yeah.
But we tend to cater sometimes to the fringe.
See, there is no reason you or I need a weapon that has a clip with 21 shots in it.
Not at all.
It is a semi-automatic.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no reason.
A sportsman would never go out, well, if you can
That's
anymore,
exactly
but
right.
he would never go out with 20 rounds in a clip
Yeah.
with a semi-automatic weapon. Today, even duck hunters, they got to put plugs in them. So you can only, I think, 3 rounds or 4 rounds in a 12-gauge shotgun. Because, if you need 8, 10 shots, you shouldn't be out there.
That's right. Yeah. But, when you start fiddling with this stuff, there's not going to be any common ground.
That's the problem.
And that's the problem with politics down in Washington.
Nobody trusts anybody
not
else.
Reasonable people that are coming together to solve a problem.
And you get a lot of theories on that. Say, well, if you're not armed and then somebody invades you, what are you going to do then? Well, today, if somebody invades you, I don't care what you got for a weapon in your house. You're not going to do anything with it because you're going to be dead. Weaponry today is totally lethal.
Well, that's assuming that someone invades your house with an automatic weapon. If someone does invade your house, break in and enter, and he's armed with a knife or something.
Yeah, I meant as a.
Yeah, that's when I want the old pistol.
Yeah, I don't disagree that you shouldn't have a pistol in your house, for different reasons. It might be an animal. It could be anything, or you might like to shoot. Now, I think there's nothing wrong with that. However, I'm going to put a caveat on that. I do not agree that you have a right to slap that thing on and walk around with it in society day in and day out armed like it's the Wild West. I don't want my family around you going to a restaurant or something, or into a mall or something with everybody packing.
Yep.
Because there's too many people I don't trust.
Yeah. You know, if this hadn't happened up in Maine, okay, then I would say to you, but you know what, Dwayne? Up in Maine, you can carry a pistol.
That's right.
And you don't need a license. Up in Maine, though, you carry it openly.
Yeah.
Not hiding it.
No, it's open carry.
Yeah. So, but then we have this happen, you know, but this was caused by something else. It was caused by a nut.
Look at, well, you watch this on Patrol Live.
Yeah.
Look at how many people they stop. And again, it's not racist, but they happen to, if they're black and they pull them out of the car, 80% of them are packing. And they're not packing 22s, they're packing 40 calibers with big clips on them.
Yep. Yep.
They're not out shooting rabbits with that thing.
No, they're not. Or targets.
Or targets, that's right.
Oh, yeah. No, and, you know, because we only see the ones where they have criminals. We don't see the probably 99% of the stops that aren't worth filming.
They're a non-entity.
But how many, let me see your license. It's at home. Okay, what's your full name? You don't have a license, do you?
No.
I had one once.
Or I never had one. There were a couple of them.
Yeah.
How many people are out there, particularly down in the South Carolina and North Carolina and Florida, are driving without driver's licenses? It's amazing. And what really irritates me, don't get me going on it, what irritates me is when a damn cop will say, well, who here has got a driver's license? I do. All right, you drive, you ride. And they let them go. There should be the cuffs on them, and they should be taken in.
And you know why they don't
Not
do that?
let them go.
They bring them before a judge, and the
He'll let
judge
'em
says,
go.
don't do it again.
Yeah, I said one, he says, well, Monday you go down and you take care of that license, okay? Yes, I will. I never had a license, but he's not going to do it.
No, he's not going to do it. It doesn't say anything.
Yep.
Well, you're not going to, no more weed, right? I'm trying to kick it. I swear I'll never touch it again.
I like they're not my pants.
Oh, yeah.
When I can find something on them. Well, they're not my pants.
Yeah, but it was tucked down in the car seat, right underneath your butt. It was behind, tucked into the.
Yeah.
So who the hell would put it there?
The excuses are amazing.
I don't know. I let somebody borrow my car yesterday. Who? I don't know his name. He hangs out at the gas station.
If you haven't watched this program, it's on Friday and Saturday night at 9 to midnight on Reelz, REELZ, and if you got local cable here, it's channel 1429, 1429. It's scary. Sometimes it's funny. The excuses are amazing.
I tell you what, I've talked to people that have watched this stuff, and they say, oh, those are actors. Nobody can be that stupid.
No, they're not.
No.
There's no shortage of stupidity out there, yeah.
One of my unfavorite stories of all times was my first job at the Foxborough Company. And my boss was, we'll call him Jack. That wasn't his name.
Of course.
He's deceased now anyway. And so it isn't important what we were doing, but I was working for him in the packaging area. And I said, hey, Jack, how you doing? Oh, you're doing good, yeah. And, we're putting stuff in a box and labeling it and all that stuff. So, but he used to like to talk to me. And it always started off with, hey, let me ask you a question. You're a smart guy, right? I said, Well, maybe. Depends on what you ask me
Well,
about.
where this is going.
Yeah. What do you got? Well, he says, last night, he said, and he said, and you're Irish too, right? I said, for the most part, yeah. He goes, so last night I was watching Walt Disney, and they had a show on about leprechauns. And now, are there leprechauns in the U.S. or are they just live in Ireland?
Was he serious?
Serious.
I hope you use this as an opportunity to tell him about the different kind of leprechauns that were around.
I said, Jack, I said, leprechauns aren't real.
See, I wouldn't have went that.
They're not real. It's a fairy tale. He blew his stack yelling at me. It was on Walt Disney, and Walt Disney doesn't lie.
Doesn't lie, that's right.
And he was serious. So after that, my supervisor, my big boss, my foreman came over. He said, did I hear you and Jack yelling? And I said, well, look, Vinny, here's what happened. And he goes, okay, Bill, Jack's been with us about 35 years. He's got 4 or 5 kids. He's limited.
That's what I thought.
He's about where he's going to be for the rest of his life until he retires. He said, you really can't have a conversation with him where you give him any kind of answer that's beyond his ability to understand. He said, if he asks you something, just say to him, I don't know, Jack. Gosh, I'll have to see if I can find out some information about that or whatever. He said, but you can't,
Yeah.
But here's a guy, an adult with a family that believes in leprechauns.
If somebody didn't believe him with him someplace, they wouldn't be around.
Yeah.
Somebody believed him.
Yeah, I guess.
Unless somebody had pulled the biggest practical joke in the history.
Jeepers creepers. And I was actually sad for him that he was this.
Well, he's happy with leprechauns. I
I
believe in the Keebler elf. I know they live in trees. Danville.
So
if you folks see us talking about numbers, ever throwing a number in once in a while, are these guys going crazy or what? That's our astute producer in there. He's telling us how many minutes we've got left on his taping there. So he flashes us 10 and a 5 and then a 2 and then he says, "Get out."
I have one thing I want to finish up on the Israeli thing. It was the bottom of this article. Mr. Netanyahu was interviewed, and he says, what we have to see is Gaza demilitarized, de-radicalized, and rebuilt. All of that can be achieved. While Biden administration pessimism led it to withdraw from Afghanistan and surrender the territory 6,000 miles away to the Taliban, Israel doesn't have that option. Gaza is next door. Ensuring no use of Gaza as a platform for terrorism will require a decisive Israeli victory and more flexibility than the no's and the musts that Blinken said.
I am one of that believes in separate Palestinian territory.
Yeah.
And serious. I mean, I don't care if you got to put a wall or moat, fill it with alligators. It doesn't matter. You want your territory, this is yours, this is where we live, you stay over there, we stay over here. But the problem, there's some elements in both societies. The Israeli, the Zionists, and the ultra-Orthodox can't accept that. They want to put settlements
Over there,
in the
yeah.
Palestinian parts, and that stirs them up again. It gets everything going again. Israel needs to have a leadership that says, no, you're not going over there. They're not coming over here to live. We could be trade back and forth.
An
But
ideal situation would be if U.S. had the prestige they had during the Reagan era.
well, yeah. That was
And
totally
they
different era.
said to Egypt, look, you got one hell of a lot of territory, and most of it is unused. We want to carve off a spot for the Palestinians. And then the Egyptians are going to say, we do not want that bunch. They're all crazy.
Yeah.
And then the U.S. is going to say, here's what we need to do, Egypt. You want these F-35 fighters. You want us to defend you. Here's what you've got to do. And get them the hell away from the Israelis. And then tell the Israelis, no more added geography for you.
That's right.
You got it back.
This is
you
it.
got Gaza back. You got your square. That's it. We're putting them over there in their square. That's it. Now that is really pie in the sky.
But
Just dream.
It's a solution.
But it's a solution.
That's
You're
right.
right. But Ronald Reagan's not with us.
No, I know.
And we have got a vacuum in the White House
Yep.
and among the advisors. And this is, if we write the history of the U.S., this period, and we do it honestly, people in years to come will cringe at our stupidity.
Oh, absolutely.
Um,
There's no question about that. No.
Yeah.
That is perfectly true.
and look, and we got a few minutes left. Look what we are faced with in November of next year.
It's not getting any better. That's the problem.
No, I mean, and
330 million people, and we can't come up with two decent candidates.
And Joe Manchin is now going to stir the pot.
Yeah.
If he ever gets backing where they go around to the 50 states and get him on the ballot, between him and Robert Kennedy, if he gets on the ballots, and then the two major candidates that nobody wants, this is really going to look like Mrs. Calabash's soup.
I don't want to get back into that, but I would not be shocked or surprised if we see a rise of an independent third-party candidate show up.
Is
If
it Manchin?
Could be.
Is
Could
it
be.
RFK? Who,
No.
by the way, is really a loony.
He's a lunatic. Manchin's got a lot of pluses,
He does.
but RFK, he even his own family thinks he should be locked up in a cellar someplace. Okay, 5 Bill.
So we've got to go on the record here, Dwayne. Are the Democrats going to be able to slide Biden out of there?
Are they getting him out of that race? Bill, I would always say no. Oh, yes, but now I'm not so sure. I don't know who's pulling the strings anymore, and either, well, Trump thinks he's pulling the strings in the Republican, but he thinks he is because the people that are being pulled by those strings are the loud ones. I think there's a certain percentage here, but there's what do they used to call it? The silent majority. I think there's a silent majority in both parties, but they're too silent right now. And I hope they don't stay silent.
If a candidate were to be able to speak to the silent middle, he could win.
Oh my, he'd sweep.
Yeah.
That's why
However,
there's going to be, I wouldn't be surprised, going to be some, I don't care either side, because if a third party candidate rises, he's going to be part of both. He's going to be a hybrid between the two parties. And that's what people are going to look for. And I think they're going to vote for him en masse, or I don't care.
If that someone said, I'm forming a new party called the American Party, that could, he was an attractive candidate.
Yep.
He could conceivably win.
I have no question about it.
Yeah. Although, I think, again, the Electoral College would probably preclude a clean victory. And that means it's going to go in the House. And if this guy is non-political, he's dead.
Yeah.
Because the politicians will not vote for him.
Yeah, well, they won't release their power either, relinquish anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what's your last word? Oh, by the way.
Go ahead.
So you are ambivalent here on this question I asked you. Will the Democrats get him off there?
I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball.
No, I know that. What's your gut feel?
I don't think he's going to be the candidate.
Okay.
I think, first of all, I think something's going to happen. I think medically there's going to be a...
Could be.
Yeah.
And that also...
You can see it by the month. His shuffling's getting...
also could be a good excuse
Yeah.
to yank him off the stage.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a clean way of going out.
Is Trump going to make the Republican nomination?
No.
No.
No. No.
Wow.
I think there's enough people in the Republican Party that see that he is destroying the Republican Party. They're not going to stand for it. And I think his importance is a lot of self-importance. I don't think there's enough loonies that's behind him, enough megas. But I think there's the silent majority again. There's enough sane people in this country that see that he's dangerous.
Wow. That's a surprise. Because I almost think we're just marching towards disaster and we're going to have Biden versus Trump part 2. So I'm going to go on the record with that. But if they yank Biden out of there, what are they going to do with Kamala Harris?
I had no idea.
Wow, that's an even bigger question than can we get rid of Biden?
I guess you'll have to do commercials on TV.
Nobody will buy the stuff she's peddling. It's not believable. Well,
she'll be as bad as Phil Swift and his product. He is so phony, son, and the product is good. But the worst thing he does was doing his own commercial.
When he's bouncing along in that speedboat,
yeah.
I just keep praying it breaks in half.
Oh, I hope he hits a stump or something out there.
Well, folks, listen, it's been fun being with you. I don't think you learned much of anything today.
Well, we presented some seeds that, if you think about it, you think, yeah, maybe that could happen. Couldn't happen, yeah. These two old farts might have be onto something, but again, it might be just dementia.
Must be so hot air.
Yeah. So come on, let us know what you want.
And come on back next time.
Yeah.
And we'll hatch up some conspiracy theories or something.
We'll have something, that's for sure.
We'll have something.
Okay. Take care, guys.
Take care, folks.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Turkey Day.